Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. So we had been discussing about live attenuated vaccines. So we will continue discussing on them. So now in this lecture video we will discuss some of the characteristics of live attenuated vaccines. Okay. So live attenuated vaccines have several defining features. So number one, which is they contain living but weakened pathogens. Okay, weakened pathogens. This we have already discussed that they contain living pathogens, but those pathogens have been weakened. So number two, they are capable of limited replication within host cells. Okay, because they are weakened, so they have limited replication capability. So number three, they closely resemble natural infection. Okay, so evidently that is the point why you are making vaccines, so they should reflect the natural infection. Otherwise what will happen, then there is no point of introducing these pathogens within the body. So only when they will resemble, the body can remember, can memorize, and it can produce immune response during actual infection. So number four is they can produce both humoral plus cell mediated immunity. Okay, so number five, they often require only one or two doses. Okay, so one or two doses are enough, and they generate long lasting immune memory. So these are some of the characteristics of live attenuated vaccines. Okay, so next we will discuss something on live attenuated vaccines, which is very important. So if I talk about that, so here comes the mechanism of action. So I have discussed everything about live attenuated vaccines. Now comes the important part, which is mechanism of action. Okay, so somebody prefer to call it as MOA. So what is the first step? Is vaccine administration. Okay, so what happens here, the vaccine enters the body through an appropriate route, such as intramuscular injection, intramuscular or subcutaneous injection, or oral administration. So this is how you make the vaccine enter within your body. So it is either through intramuscular or subcutaneous injection, or through oral administration. Okay, then second step is, here I will give you some examples like uh, oral polio vaccine, OPV. So this is administered orally. Okay, so MMR vaccine, this is administered subcutaneously. So these are all live attenuated vaccines. So number two is limited replication. So here what happens? So unlike killed vaccines, attenuated microorganisms can replicate to a limited extent inside the host. Okay, so they are not fully killed. However, because they are weakened, okay, it does not usually produce severe disease in healthy individuals or healthy persons. Okay, this we have already discussed, and it mimics natural infection. So first one is you administer the vaccine. Second step, it will perform limited replication. So third step, here comes the activation of innate immunity. Activation of innate immunity. So macrophages and dendritic cells, recognize vaccine organism through pattern recognition receptors, PRRs. Okay, so what do? These cells phagocytose the pathogen, okay, release cytokines, initiate inflammation, and migrate to lymph nodes. Okay, so this is the third step. Then the fourth step here is antigen presentation. So captured antigens captured antigens are processed and presented through MHC, major histocompatibility complex molecules. Okay, so MHC class 2 activates CD4 plus helper T cells, and MHC class 1 activates, this is class 1, activates the CD8 plus cytotoxic T cells. Okay, so this dual activation is one of the strengths of live attenuated vaccines. Okay, so next step here comes, fifth step here is activation of adaptive immunity. Okay, so here first comes activation of B cells. So B cells recognize vaccine antigen or vaccine pathogen and differentiate into plasma cells producing specific antibodies. Okay, then comes activation of helper T cells. So CD4 plus helper T cells release cytokines that enhance B cell and macrophage function. Okay, and then comes activation of cytotoxic T cells. Okay, so CD8 plus T cells identify and destroy infected host cells, producing protection against intracellular pathogens. So then comes the formation. So step 6 comes the formation of memory cells. So following immune activation, memory B cells are generated, right? And memory T cells are also generated, right? So these cells can persist up to years and respond rapidly, up to years and respond rapidly upon future exposure to same pathogen. Okay, so this explains why live attenuated vaccines produce long lasting immunity only after 1 or 2 doses. Okay, so live attenuated vaccines produce long lasting immunity after only 1 or 2 doses. Okay, so this is the total mechanism of action. First is vaccine administration. You administer the vaccines, you choose the pathway to administer the vaccines, and then they perform limited replication because they are already attenuated, and then they activate the innate immune response and followed by antigen presentation. So they present those antigens, and this way they activate the adaptive immunity pathway. The B cells are activated producing antibodies, the T cells are activated, and the formation of memory cells, so that in future exposure the pathogen can be neutralized immediately after exposure. Okay, so that's all for today. Stay tuned for more videos on live attenuated vaccines. Thank you.